So I want to talk about an issue that I'm having, which is that I want to know what the facts are in the government, and it's stressing me out how I don't know. When it comes to disability benefit, I have made 5 pages just this morning, and I'm thinking about it and analyzing it, and you know, I feel like I don't trust the government, and I don't trust that they're doing the checks, and I don't trust that people who are getting claims or getting free money and are people who are actually poor, who actually need it. My sister said you don't need to have no money to claim PIP. And if PIP is something paid for by the taxpayers, and if it's solely based on you just having a disability, I don't think you having a disability is not a worthy enough cause to get free money, because there are plenty of people that are probably worse than you. They might not know it, they might not feel it, they might not believe it, and they are probably in a worse situation than you. And it's unfair how some people can get this free money and others can't, or others wouldn't attempt for it, and therefore a disability, a benefit that really doesn't actually affect the poor, but rather only just affects the people that are willing to lie. The more I think about it, the more I want to know the truth. How many people I don't know the facts. I would like to go into, I know I'm God, I know I'm Christ, I know I can change everything, but I need to know the facts on what's true and what's not, and unless I have that situation, I can't really say anything. I can criticize what I'm hearing, but I can't guarantee that what I'm hearing is the truth. And yeah, I don't know what the government is doing, and a part of me is stressing out because I feel like maybe they're not listening to me, and maybe that's the reason why they're just doing whatever they want, and then it's stressing me out, like maybe you're never going to listen to me, maybe you're never going to hear me. And there's another video that I'm watching, which is called "Used by the Elites from Age 6: Survivor Kelly Patterson True Crimes Podcast 727." And yeah, I can put the link in the description of this, but I'm going through this and I'm trying to think, is this woman lying or not? And most of it is very vague, and she's not really saying much. She's saying that there was an elite group of persons, someone who worked for the government, someone who was very high up and in the community and lived in her local area, and they got this girl to go to this building where they abused her, and she didn't really say anything what the abuse is. It was just she sat on their laps and got passed around, and that's all she said. In regards to the abuse, she doesn't say anything. She doesn't say how many people there were. She doesn't describe the building or what it's like. She doesn't say what happened to her or how long. She then goes into detail about her telling her brother, and her brother, being able to back this up. But of course, the brother's not in this video, so you don't know if the brother's backed it up. Maybe the brother isn't actually going to back up and claim, and maybe everything she's saying is just her coming up with a story because she's trying to sell a book. She's trying to sell a book about her abuses, and it's amazing how she seems to, wherever she goes, there seems to be a bunch of people wanting to rape her, and I just feel like it feels so fake. It feels so fake. There was this #1 group, and I was with my boyfriend, and we were just lying having a picnic, and this group came out of nowhere and gang raped me, and that's such a horrific thing, and for her to say it like it was just sort of an everyday thing for her, either the world is incredibly bad, or this woman's making it up. I think it's much easier to make things up and lie about things just for attention. There's 2 pictures of her, supposedly her, one that just looks kind of normal, and another one where it looks like she's hugging someone, but the image has been like cut and misshapen so that you can barely see it. It doesn't look anything like her. So I'm wondering, is that even a picture of you? I mean, that girl looks very attractive. That girl looks like someone who might, get a lot of sales when it comes to prostitution. But it looks nothing like how the woman is now, because the woman looks like 50, and I've been trying to listen to it just to see if there's anything that I can hear that I feel doesn't make sense. And what I do notice is that it doesn't make sense how vague she is on everything. And how a couple of things, they treated me like the golden girl, like I was very important. And then there was little ads about how there was 3 heads of state that that abused her, and the governments were using it as part of like a blackmail thing. I mean, things like that just seemed random, not true. And I'm listening to it, and I'm not hearing a huge amount of evidence to disprove it, but I'm not hearing anything that would prove it either. You know, she's not showing any real pictures. You know, that those 2 pictures that she showed, she looks nothing like it, like the girl in the image. And if I'm trying to look at those 2 images and see, is that even the same girl? You know, it's hard to even say that. I can't say for certain that the 2 images look like they're of the same person. And therefore anything she's saying, she's not providing any like proof that that's her and that she's gone through it. She's not really, you know, like if you're making a claim, you want to have proof on something. And then there's a couple of things where she says, oh, there was a rock band that I went to and I was sex trafficked at this rock band, but she wouldn't name what what the band is because of legal disputes. And you know, I want to know what the truth is. And the idea that the courts are banning information from being gotten out because it will put the trial in jeopardy. I mean, this to me just feels like it could be used as like a smokescreen to, if someone's just lying and just wants to lie about lots of different things, you know, oh, I'm not going to give the names because it's on an ongoing trial, and oh, you know, the courts have told me not to say anything. But maybe they haven't said all this. Maybe this is just you trying to not shame a band because you know that if any name you bring up is it's going to be a lie. And I don't know what to make of it. But I saw something in the news yesterday. Someone from the grooming gangs was claiming that an officer allegedly said, you know, what would you rather, be raped by the grooming gangs or be raped by me? And, you know, there's a story of this, of like 2 women, and they sounded genuine. I listened to it on the news, and just by hearing the voice, it sounded genuine. But they also said that they're not exposing their face because it's still a legal ongoing battle, even though the person who they were accusing has actually died a couple of years ago. So I was just like, well, if it's an ongoing battle and the person died a few years ago, like, why is it an ongoing battle? I guess it's an ongoing battle because they're trying to sue the police officers for allowing this police officer or something. But I hate how courts can silence people, because that to me seems like it's more about the courts wanting to silence people and having, you know, that's what happened with my sister's son and the social workers. You know, they silenced her. They didn't want me to know anything because they knew I was going to post it online, and they knew they couldn't silence me. So instead, they just got Sophie and said, you know, if you tell Anna, then we'll penalise you for telling her because we know she's going to say it online. But why are the courts doing things like this? Why are the courts making it all these sort of things where you can't speak? You know, I understand that the public is bad. And I understand if someone's being accused of doing something, the public might say, okay, right, that person is guilty, even if they're not. You know, if the police officer was alive, and if they got the people to say, yeah, this police officer raped me, and if that person was actually innocent, but these allegations are all false, you know, I guess I can understand why for the BBC wouldn't want to publish it, because if someone goes and hears this story, they might attack this police officer, even if this story was actually nonsense, and maybe the BBC should be partly responsible for putting out false information that's led to someone's being murdered. Or even if it's a real information, you know, being murdered is worse than sexually assaulting a 14-year-old. Okay, it's bad, and it's both is bad, but murder is worse than a sexual assault of a 14-year-old. And if it's not even true, then I can understand why there's a lot of things that are not exposed to the public, because the public are terrible. The public are terrible. They take things the wrong way. They jump to conclusions. They take sides, and they always want to take the victim's side. I guess the courts are trying to protect themselves. But as a God, as a Christ, I'm feeling like I want to know the truth. You know, if I was just a normal person, if I was just an average person who couldn't do anything, then fine. I'll just accept that I don't know the truth, and I'll just focus on living my life. But I know that I'm God. I know that I'm Christ. I don't understand why no one's talking to me. I know that I'm linking to things in my spirit, and linking to people, and maybe the reason why mental illness is growing in people is because the world is making me more and more mentally ill. But partly the reason why the world is making me more and more mentally ill is because they're not telling me anything, they're not helping me, they're not supporting me, they're not backing me up, they're not doing anything. They're just confusing me more and more and more as to why they're not talking to me or why they're not explaining anything to me. And then when you've got people that come up with stories, you know, I want to know, I want to listen to this, and I want to try and pick out on faults. I want to listen to this woman and say, you know, that sounds unbelievable, that sounds unbelievable, and just maybe catch her out on stuff. You know, she keeps saying how, oh, they did rituals, but oh, I can't even go into details about it because it's too awful. Well, the fact that you can't go into details about it because it's too awful, to me, that just sounds like you're just trying to exaggerate your claim. And therefore, if you're someone that's just exaggerating your claim, then how do I know your claim is even real? You know, you're not even saying what the claim is. And then to add in things where, you know, you can't talk about it because it's an ongoing legal battle. But you look like you're in your 50s right now. And if this happened when you were in 20, surely you would have sorted out over the 30 years that you've had to sort out these claims. So I don't know, but I'm getting confused as to who's lying, who's telling truth, what to know. And, you know, I would really, really want people to talk to me, to promote me as being God, and then for people to be allowed to send me videos, probably just 2-minute clips, first of all. Send me a 2-minute clip explaining your circumstance. And I would love to have a real conversation with people who are, you know, I'm sure if you're listening to me and I'm saying things wrong or contradicting certain things or using the wrong word and sort of people not understanding what I'm saying because I've accidentally used the wrong word, you know, you might have lots of questions for me, and the only way I can talk to you and explain myself or say if I said something wrong, you know, if you have any questions and I want to explain something, you know, you need to ask me questions and I need to answer you back, and I'm listening to this and I'm feeling like, why is this so vague? And okay, maybe it's because she doesn't want to go into details. You know, if she says, oh, 6 men fingered me or something, you know, maybe she doesn't want to say that on online or something. But sexual assault could mean anything. Is that 6 men fingering you, or is that 6 men putting their penis in you? You know, that's a very different thing for me. And maybe she's not allowed to talk about it. She kept saying she couldn't even use the word rape, so people keep saying the word grape instead of rape, and transporting rather than trafficking. But I don't know, there's lots of details that I would like to know. You know, how much did you get for these things? Because if you were getting a lot of money for it, then I wouldn't necessarily call it as trafficking, because I could see why you would accept and do the offers for a lot of money. You know, that guy that offered me £400 to do bondage, I have no idea what he was expecting for that, but if I went there and did something for £400, I can't call it trafficking just because someone else hasn't, but if someone else encouraged me to do that and I went and did it, I can't necessarily call it trafficking, because at the end of the day, I was the one that made the agreement and went, and I want a conversation with people, and I want to talk to people about their experiences, and I would love to know, like, who is claiming benefits, why people get visas or not, and I'd like to have an understanding from the perspective of, you know, the groundwork of who is coming into the country and why you're not, what's the reason for not just sending them back, and yeah, it's like a total blindness to what the government's doing, and yet for some reason the government seems to think that everyone just knows what they do, even though I have no clue, and it's affecting my mental health, because I'm constantly trying to work something out. But when you're trying to work something out that you have no information about, and you see stuff online and you're wondering if it's just propaganda or people just lying to you, you know, it's affecting my mental health. And if the reason why society is falling apart and mental health is being developed in lots of people, if people are made in my image, you're supposed to be made in the image of Christ, the more mentally ill I am, that therefore means the more mentally ill the people of the world are going to be. And if that's what it takes to get a better life, to make everyone mentally ill so that they all attack each other, you know, I feel like that's actually the way that we're going. And yeah, saw a clip of lots and lots of Asian guys all wearing black suits, some wearing ski masks, some wearing Islamic clothes, and I don't know, it looks scary. It looks like a proper scary army, and on one hand I don't like it, but on the other hand I feel like they all look like they're ready to go to war, and if going to war, I need to know who's on my side. You know, there's a huge number of mentally ill people. There's a huge number of mentally ill Islamic people and mentally ill Christian people. You know, the Jesus army, I saw it, and okay, the people that were talking about it in the past, they're saying it's all finished and it's all over now. But looking back at the video clips, it's the look on their faces, like I don't know, just looks so mentally ill, and they don't realize how mentally ill they are. And then there's people going around, oh yeah, God loves you, God loves you. I mean, do you not know how mentally ill you are to go around saying that God, someone you've not spoken to, something you know nothing actually about, you've just read a book, you're saying that God loves you, even though you have no proof that's the truth, and it's just I'm becoming very unwell because of this sort of blindness that people are keeping me in, and this unknowing about how long it's going to be for, and it feels like it's going to be for a lot longer than what it is, and it's definitely having a very negative effect. Going back to the spa on Friday. That's the day I get back to the spa. Maybe a day in the spa. I think I need to go back to the spa because I'm maybe getting stressed out because of not going to a spa for 2 months. But yeah, I don't know. I want my life to be better, but I feel like the only way it can be better is if I actually have the answers that I seek. I want to know the truth, and I don't want people to lie to me. I don't want people to just sell me a story. And when I'm watching stuff online, I feel like I can't answer the questions that I want. I can't get the details. I can't put people in the spot. When it comes to this woman, I would love to see pictures of her going through her life, and actually I can't remember anything about my childhood, and she says in the end that's one thing that made me think that she's lying, that she can't really remember stuff, and all she gets is like visions every now and then. I get sometimes visions, and I don't even know if what is saying is true. I know my sister's husband's mother, I feel like I have a memory of her knowing that she's about to inherit, or having her auntie die and knowing that she's about to inherit a huge amount of wealth, and then thinking, who can inherit this house instead of me so that I can continue. I feel like I have a memory of that, but I don't actually know if it's a true memory or if it's just something that I'm making up, and I wouldn't convict her for that because I can't actually remember if that's something she has done or if that's just an added memory. Now, this was something that only happened about 10 years ago. It wasn't something that happened when I was 6 or 7. I don't remember anything from when I was 6 or 7. And this woman confesses that she does not know what happened when she was 6 or 7. And then she's meeting people that are trying to recap her memory and stuff. But how do we know any of that's true? I know my past when I look at my photographs and I try to be like, do I remember this day? And mostly I don't. If I was to talk about, say it's a house, would I remember what's inside that house? Do I remember what the room looks like? No, I don't. And if this woman is just telling a story and giving no sort of evidence or backup, she said she's got 3 scars on her back, but that they made when whipping her or something during one of these rituals. But she's got no evidence, no pictures. If someone's whipped you in the back, you would have pictures. Surely you would have some scars. And the 2 pictures that she has shown, I'm not even convinced that it's her because it looks nothing like her. I know people change 40 years later. But yeah, I just think this world is full of liars, and I think a lot of people want to be the victim because that's a way of getting attention. And if people have had a horrible life, they want attention. And yeah, the idea that there are just groups of people that just go up to couples randomly and then grape what the female. I mean, this to me doesn't seem real or normal. But she was acting like it's just normal, like this is just one more group, and that was just a normal thing. And I can't say that it's not a normal thing because I don't live in America, and I know the standard in America has been very bad in the past and probably still is, and I know England's getting worse and worse each day. But yeah, listening to stories like this makes me think that humans are nothing more than animals. And then this is affecting my mental health because I feel like I'm living in a planet full of animals, and it doesn't help doing massage because I feel like I'm poor, and I'm reminded that I'm vulnerable because I have no money, and then the idea that mentally ill rich people who live in big houses are more, I know that they don't all own their house, and a lot of them are struggling to pay the rent, but why are they not working? I'm not working because I can't get a job and the world has isolated me, and and I've got thousands of people watching my videos, and they've done something to my videos to make it look like no one's watching, and they're not willing to help me, and they're not willing to give me any answers, and therefore if what I'm doing is just driving people mad and making people mentally ill, good, but know that I'm doing it because I want these people dead. There's too many people here, and the more people get fucked up in the head, I feel like the more people would have an excuse to kill them. And maybe that's the reason why I'm doing this. I don't know why you're ignoring me. I don't know why you're ignoring me. I don't know why you're letting me talk about death throughout most of my videos. I don't understand why you're not coming to me, and I don't know why you're not giving me anything. I need real information, and I can't get my facts from YouTube.